Hi, leadership team. I am sending this video just to make it easier for you all as I'm trying to make sure we get everything aligned around the hiring process and criteria. Bear with me. I really want to make sure that you all know how to add and or change interview questions and or also to be able to add people to your interview panel or remove people from your interview panel. I sent out an email yesterday, but because of our situation, I've taken everybody out of the system right now who's not a director, so that we don't have anybody accidentally getting results that we don't want them to get results for. So now what that means is that you all will need to, as the interview panels get finalized, that you'll need to go in and make sure that you have the correct people in there. So I want to show you a few things on how to do that. So I'm going to share my screen. Bear with me here as I do this. Screen. Okay. Hopefully you can all see this. Okay. First things I want to start off with. Now I'm an admin. There are only a few of us who are admins. Myself, Sukanya, Oksana, and Janelle. The four of us are admins. And as an admin, I have some visibility to things that you might not have. So as I go through this, if you don't see something, it's because of that. But you should have access to most things because you have the next level down, which is the manager's approval, which allows you to create jobs, to delete jobs, and to build your own based on that. So it just doesn't allow you to do things that have to do with the company profile, those kinds of things. But having not been in your role, and not being able to see your screen, I don't know for sure. So we're going to go through here, and if there's something that doesn't make sense, let me know. First, I want to let you know that there's this thing that I can do, which I'm hoping you all can do, but I'm not positive, which is Teams. And with Teams, I'm allowed to, I had, based on the Excel document for the interview panels, I had gone in here and created all of the interview panels and who was going to be on there. So let me just take an example. So I'm going to take this education programs lead. When I click edit in here, here are all the people that were in here. And then later on, when you're building the job, in many of the places, you can just say, I want this team. And then you can make changes here without impacting what happens in the job posting. Like it automatically then just adjusts for whatever changes you make here. So it's very handy. It doesn't work everywhere. So I'm just calling that out. They have a thing that they need to fix, but which is that when it comes to the interview panels, it doesn't work. It doesn't allow you to use these teams, but other places it does. So ultimately, what makes sense is that we would, once I know who the finalists are, I could go in here and put them in here so that it applies to most of the steps of the job process, but still the interview piece itself has to be done separately. Okay, so I have created all of these with everybody's in there. Now I'm going to go to an actual job and show you a few things. When I come into job, well, actually, let me do this first. Here, there's a thing called interview templates. When you go into the interview templates, it has all the various templates that I built with different questions in there. Now, you don't, and by the way, some of these, even though it's, I'm trying to think of a good, like, okay, let's talk about the systems round 1 and round 2. The actual questions that are, these questions are for 2 different positions that are being hired. And for their round 1 and their round 2, the questions are actually the same. So just because you don't have to have this kind of interview thing identified for every single position, you may use the exact same questions for another one. So when you build your job, you can just come and grab whichever one it fits with what you have. Another thing is if you just need to make changes to it, you can click on it over here and you can say, I need to copy it. You can make a copy and then just make some minor changes without having to do the whole thing. But I actually don't want you to go in here and mess with this quite yet, although there may be some times when you need to, so I can talk about that later. But I just wanted to show you conceptually kind of how this works. Now, if I go to the job section, and I'm going to use this accounting administrator just because it's at the top and it's easiest. So when I come in here, so I want to also call out that here you can also do a duplicate job. So if I said, hey, I have a new position, but it's a little bit different, I can duplicate this job, which I just did, and now it has here copy. Now when I can go into the copy, I can edit this job and I can make changes to the thing and I can say, okay, this is now testing thing. And then almost everything in here will be the same. There are some differences, like it deletes interview panels, it deletes some things, but the core things are the same. So this is a really good way of not having to start from scratch, because starting from scratch can be a pain. So just so you know that you can do that without having to redo. So I'm going to delete this one that I just created because that's not a real thing. And there we go. So now I'm going, oh, hopefully I pushed the right button. I don't know why it didn't delete just now. Oh, because I hit edit instead of delete. Sorry. I'm going to delete is called deactivate jobs in here. So I'm going to deactivate that job. Okay. But this particular one now I'm coming in because I want to show you these key pieces here. So when I come into this section, you'll see this is the job. So it starts with showing you what are the assessments that this person has to do. Now, these assessments, I have done a little bit of training with cognitive in order with criteria in order to figure out which ones should be which. They actually make recommendations, different things. So I've already identified these. These should be good to go in your section. The second thing you'll see here, if you have a structured interview, so external people, all the external jobs should have a video interview in here. And then either way, there should be at least one live interview. And for some positions, there's 2 live interviews. Live just means virtual. It doesn't have to be in person. And then that's the overall structure. But then when you come down here, there's different things. Like this is where I have said, yes, they need to submit their resume. They need to submit a cover letter. And I have a very basic job application that they have to do, which really is like, are you allowed to work in the United States? And it also gives us their 3 references, etc. So all of these things that you see here, like the training fund landing page, these are all things that are default. So that's why you don't want to start from their default in the jobs that I've created. But if you create a new job from scratch, these things won't be in here. So you'd have to start over. So every time when you do need to create a new job, we want to create from one that I've already done so that this stuff is already in here. Everything from like the event expiration to the adjust time, all that stuff. So those are things that I'm hoping you don't mess with at all. If you have questions or concerns that you would let me know, but that's what that is. Now, when I come down here, this is critical. This is who actually has access to see the results once the event is completed. So this is not where they get alerted to say, hey, there's a testing results. This just gives them permission. So if it was just here, people would have to log in and go looking for it in order to see. But when I come in here, I can choose. Now, I know that the second level of interviews are all directors. So I kept the second level people in here, but I got rid of accounting administrator 1 of 2, which had non-directors in here for right now. But when the time comes, once that accounting administrator 1 of 2 list is fully complete, we can add that in here. And then this is a really critical piece, which is this pipelines and automation. So when I click on the pipelines and automation, this is actually how everything flows. And it's also the most confusing section of this whole thing. How it's done is a little bit confusing, but right now we have a pretty good system. So in here, there's an application testing in the video interview that you see from above. This is actually just allows you to actually, I'll just click on one. So just make sure you could choose a different one, right? So we only have one, so we're doing that in there. But it just, so you can go in there and do that. But this is what I really want to show you is this email reports. So this email reports is once somebody has done their assessments and they pass it, who's going to get notified? So this is really critical. Unlike what I showed you just a little bit ago, where it's who has access, this is who actually gets notified. So both of these need to be set up for the right people. We don't want to send the application because the application is personal phone number, personal information that most folks don't need to know. This should be reserved only for HR to be able to see, to maintain confidentiality. But this is really important here. Now, what I want to show you is that you can change all the things in that live interview section that was at the top right here. So when I click on live interview here, I can come in and I can see, oh, I can actually change which interview group of questions I want to use. And I can also change who. Now, this one, if I scroll all the way to the bottom, whoops, of this list, there are no teams in here. So for the interview ones, you always have to just do the individuals themselves. You can't, it won't let you do the teams. You can assign, then you need to go through and assign who it is that you want to have ask each question. And then at the bottom, here's the number, how many have to be evaluated in order for this to be made available, the results to be made available to the interview team. I'm just, for now, for the time being, I'm just putting one in there just so that, as we use the system, we may discover that there's benefit to having that number be higher. We can play that by ear. I will say that, so for here, so this email reports is for anyone who passes the first interview, they get moved to round 2. And then we want to have access to, we want to notify the people who are in round 2. So you can see I have accounting administrators 2 of 2, because those are all directors, that they would get sent all of these reports at the time when somebody gets moved to the second round of interview. I hope all that makes sense. There's a whole lot in here, but I wanted to at least let you know that when you, so at the end of the day, right now, the things that you will most likely need to do is to come in. I'm going to start at the top. You come into jobs, you click on here, you go to edit. When you, once it opens up, you're going to want to do, if you have a video interview, you're going to want to do edit and add in who it is who should have access to the video interview. And then you can ignore the interviews here, the in-person interview, the live interviews here, because you're going to do it through the pipeline section down below. So you can just keep scrolling all the way down. You want to make sure and edit who has sharing access, who has access to all the materials. So you'll want to change that once you have your first panel. And then also you can click, then you need to click edit here in the pipeline. And this is where you can edit both of the interviews if you wanted to, or the and change the who's getting the reports. So those are the main sections. One final thing on the interview questions. If you needed to change your version of these interview questions, you could do that in one of 2 ways. So for example, if you said, I really need to have this one question, which isn't being asked in here, there's 2 ways you could do that. So one is, go back here. If I go to the interviews, structured interview section here, you can come in here. Let me make sure that that's correct. Oh, no, it's not here. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You do have to come here to the interview templates. Now, what I would do is copy, come in here and copy this. So I'm just going to do this one. So similarly, it allows me to make a copy. I come in here to the copy. And once I'm in here, I can add from library. Now, in the library, there's 2 different ways of doing this. One, there's stock questions, all of these different kinds of questions, which are really good. So I've pulled from a bunch of these to create the questions in there. Or there's custom, where you can create your own questions. And this is where you'd click on custom library, go to create a new question, and you could find out, pick a topic, whatever, if it's not a topic that's already here. So for example, and I created very specific ones. So let me show you some examples of ones I created. So let's go to labor unions. I created these 2 questions, which can be added. I also created, let's do, I don't know, contracts. So in contracts, I have some very specific questions that have to do with contracting that I built in and I put into the contracting interview. So if you wanted to add a question, you could do that. What I would really appreciate is if you would, if you're going to do that, when you come in here to this interview template, that you actually make a copy and then change the name to whatever name you're doing, so that we can track which ones you used and that it's not messing with the other document that we already have. Okay. In this case, I'm going to delete this one, and there we go. So I'm going to deactivate, which is, there are places, if you accidentally deactivate something, you can reactivate, at least for a certain amount of time. So, okay. I'm going to be able to help with some of this, but some of this you're going to need, some of you will want the ability to be able to make those changes. So I just wanted to kind of walk you through what that looks like and how to do that. So sorry for this very long training video, but hopefully this will help you. Okay, thanks. Bye.